Greatness and Goodness, Barbaro and His Legacy, Chapter 4, page 24 and 25, narrated by Alex Brown. Barbaro had flourished since he arrived in Kentucky from his winter quarters in Florida. He literally mesmerized everybody at Churchill Downs. Steve Haskin, John Asher, Barbara Livingston, Tom Law, Rick Bozich, and Jill Baffert, all veterans of the racehorse industry, were not easily impressed, were amazed when they saw Barbaro for the first time in the flesh. Barbara Livingston, perhaps the most noted photographer for horse racing, was thunderstruck when she first saw Barbaro and insisted on telling everyone who would listen that he was the horse for this year's Kentucky Derby. John Asher, Vice President of Communications at Churchill Downs, was in awe when he first saw Barbaro out training at Churchill Downs, specifically citing Barbaro's commanding presence, glow, and physique. On the Saturday before the Derby, Barbaro's workout was one for the record books. Haskin noted how strong he was going around the turn after the work in the gallop out. Barbaro worked a half mile in a little over 46 seconds, and then galloped out an additional quarter of a mile, going 3/4 in a little over a minute and 12 seconds. If an ordinary horse had worked as fast as Barbaro did that morning, he would have left the race on the training track. It would simply have been too fast and taken too much out of him, but this was further evidence that Barbaro was no ordinary horse. As soon as the work was over, Max's cell phone began to ring in earnest. One clocker who had timed every Derby contender for decades remarked that Barbaro's was the best work he had seen over the last 5 years. Daily Racing Form's Jay Pribman compared the work to the 2000 pre-Derby work of Fusaichi Pegasus, who became the first Derby favourite to win since Spectacular Bid in 1979. Brett, who was riding Barbaro in the work as usual, simply noted that it felt like he took 3 strides down the lane after he let Barbaro lengthen that stride. Jenny Rees of the Courier-Journal recognised that while Barbaro did display his high knee action that had everyone concerned, he sure got across the ground effortlessly. Like many observers, Rees moved Barbaro up on her Derby list after witnessing this work. Mike Welsh's job for the Daily Racing Form during Derby week was to watch each horse train and make observations as they prepared for the Derby. Not only was Barbaro's pre-Derby workout one that had everyone talking, but Barbaro continued to train with a lot of energy right up to the Derby. On more than one occasion during Derby week, Welch clocked Barbaro and found him galloping faster than a 2-minute clip, which is 15 seconds per eighth of a mile, a very fast gallop. Barbaro was simply training in superior fashion as contrasted with his rivals. He loved his training and appeared thrilled to be in Kentucky. On Derby morning, the Barbaro team was exuding confidence. They knew their horse and others were just catching on. Brett, Mats, and Gretchen Jackson thought they would win the Run for the Roses because he was training so well and he had improved considerably since the Florida Derby. In Brett's words, Barbaro had become a man. He had been a boy, but the penny had dropped, and Barbaro was a different horse now. Perhaps the stretched duel in the Florida Derby triggered that change. It was the first time he had a fight in his hands and the first time he was really asked to run. Perhaps it was a 5-week break that allowed Mats to work Barbaro 3 times leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Perhaps it was a combination of the 5 weeks and the toughening stretch duel. Barbaro also went through one of his growth spurts during this time. Barbaro was, after all, a late foal and only celebrated his 3rd birthday on April 29, 1 week before the Kentucky Derby. Universally, people agreed that Barbaro looked fantastic in Kentucky, both at Keeneland and at Churchill Downs.